We are back. New York City Baseball, past, present, and future. A Yankee edition. I'm here with Marty Rose, my co-host. How you doing, Mert?
I'm doing fine. How are you tonight, Ralph?
Great. All is well in almost sunny California. The sun almost came out today to give us a respite from some overcast, grumpy weather. But I'm okay. And I see on your Facebook you're at 72 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida.
It was very nice today. Actually, it was even higher than that in the afternoon. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Beautiful way to spend the winter.
It was nice.
Nice, Mert. Finally away from Staten Island. We have a guest who is in Staten Island, and he's Wayne Unger, returning to these airwaves. He's Comfortably Zoned Radio Network mainstay with Weighted Donuts and our resident Yankee expert. Wayne, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you for such a nice introduction. So,
well, you well deserved. You are definitely a mainstay, as is Mert. And we all, the three of us, have something in common. We're all from Jackson Heights. Wherever we live, we're always going to be from Jackson Heights, New York. Three of us. So
this is true.
That's kind of cool. There were from some feverish sports talk when we were growing up. You were a little younger than us, Wayne, but Mert and I remember, and it was the same. We've talked. Kids in the Heights just talk a lot of ball, baseball, basketball, football. And
well, when we were real young, our the Northridge apartments were built in the early 50s, and people came from all over the other parts of the city, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn. So you had fans of all the three teams at that time, and it made for excellent conversation. Even as kids, it was a lot of fun.
We were knowledgeable. I have to say, we scoured every box score, every sporting news, every magazine that came out. And speaking of magazines that came out, your uncle, Mert, was Marty Rose, who's a writer with the AP, mainly boxing and the Olympics. But for what I'm thinking about, he edited a great periodical that came out. It wasn't a periodical. This was a magazine that was called something with the I have it somewhere in my collection still up in the attic.
Really?
It was a magazine that I don't know what it was called. It had every All-Star game, box scores, pictures, every All-Star game, and this was back in the 60s when All-Star games were very, very important in terms of if they weren't very important to the actual outcome of the season, they were certainly taken seriously by the players and the fans. If you were a National League fan, naturally you rooted for the National League. But your uncle edited this wonderful magazine.
They had some very good writers of that era that contributed to that magazine.
Yeah, but he put it all together. I remember that. And that's a great periodical, or whatever you want to call it. And your uncle is directly responsible for our fanaticism. He would get us we refer to as guest seats. I remember that. We have guest seats. And we had the best seat in the house. Every sport, winter sports especially. It was just
back in those days, the AP and other and newspapers and radio stations, whatever, were allowed to accept tickets from the teams, and and they wouldn't go to people that worked the games. Obviously, got in to work the games, but they had extra tickets that they just gave away, and a lot of them came to me and Ralph.
It was wonderful, Bert. I mean, for everything, every sport, we just got. I can remember sitting right behind the benches and sixth row.
Yeah, in the garden.
Yeah,
sure.
It was wonderful growing up. Wayne, well, you're a Yankee fan, but you're a Yankee fan that didn't come to it from your dad.
Not at all. No, and actually, my mother grew up in Brooklyn and was she was a Dodger fan. My great uncle, who was more like a grandfather to me, he was a Dodger fan and became a Mets fan, but he didn't move to Jackson Heights till around the mid '60s, and by then it was too late. I used to see him on Sundays. They had a penny candy store in Brooklyn. My great uncle and my grandmother. So there really wasn't, much. When I was there, it was all about either eating candy or working behind the counter, as young as I was, and the parents were all just, yapping away, amongst themselves,
right.
amongst the people in the neighborhood, because this was the neighborhood where my mother and my aunt grew up. So, yeah, I had no family influence, and so all I knew was New York Yankees, and I ended up a Yankee fan.
Do you remember your first game?
My first game, we discussed this before. My first game was actually a Met game, because my brother, who's a couple of years younger than you and Marty, was not a sports fan at all. And I remember I went with my friend. So when was it? It was Shea Stadium. I can't remember if it was 64 or 65. And I remember we once went through it. I once went through the box scores to find the game. And the Mets were playing the Braves. And I remember I told you they won handily that day. They won they won 8-0, 9-0. I think Cranepool hit a home run. I can't remember, but I'll never forget the shot. It was like a line drive shot, and it just cleared the fence in right field, because I thought for a moment that Hank Aaron had caught it. I thought he jumped up and snatched it, but it was a home run. But when we were on the show I once did some digging while we were on the show and found the actual game.
Yeah, there's a website. I can't remember the website's name, but it'll give you every box score for every game.
It might be Retro Sheet.
Right.
I think there's another one called Project Score Sheet, but there's probably other sites as well. But nonetheless, that was my first game. We sat. Let's see. We sat in the middle. So let's see. The yellow seats were the box seats. That was like field level. And I think we were in was it the yellow? And then there was the blue. And then there was...
I think the loge level was the orange, right?
Orange. And maybe I was in the orange, and then the top one was the green or the blue?
I think the blue is the top, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But the loge, the yellow was the box, and the orange was right above it, the loge.
Right. Okay, so...
Ralph almost got a foul ball one time.
It was $3.50 for the field level. It was $2.50 for the loge, including upstairs. But there were general admission, I believe, for $1.30 somewhere. That's
right.
All the way out.
Right.
So yes, I remember those prices, and I remember the Phil Maurice prices: $3.50, $4.50, and $5.50.
Okay. You know what, Wayne, I admire about you? You became a Yankee fan after they started going downhill a little bit, and you remained loyal. You didn't just...
Yeah. Well, I became a Yankee fan actually. I started, hearing and talking and getting, I played ball, and in the summer I was like upstate at the bungalow colony. So I played ball, but I didn't really know ball players or teams. And then in 1960 was when I first started getting a little bit of a clue. And then, of course, come home and, seeing the paper every day and sometimes, catching the game on the weekend. But, but my first year was like, 1960 was Bill Mazeroski. So, but in 61, I really started, following a whole lot more. But yes, we went through some rough patches, but,
late 60s
I think
and early 70s weren't good.
Yeah, I think I was too young to be discouraged. That might have been it at that point. So,
well, you have nothing to be discouraged about with your current Yankees. I think I want you to confirm what I think, that they did very well for themselves, just by, as you said, off-air, addition by subtraction, and getting Chapman back. How do you analyze what went down, and are you encouraged by their immediate future?
I am, and I'm encouraged by some very obvious things, but I'm also encouraged by some not so obvious things. By the way, did you know the Yankees signed Ruben Tejada today?
I did. I was going to add, former
minor league
and Giant.
Yeah.
They want him as a backup.
Yeah,
actually, he's got a little experience. He was the shortstop on a pennant-winning team. Say what you want about that.
Yeah. I guess it remains to be seen.
He was among the weakest links. I will say that, but he had his moments, and he was hurt with the Giants. He was out here with the Giants for a while, and I think he was hurt. Very ineffective.
I think he was hurt all last year, actually. Listen, it's like they took a flyer on him. They have the same type of player, although a much better offensive player in Ronald Torres. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. But I tell you, I am a little excited, but I don't even expect a wild card. A lot of things would have to happen, starting with a guy like, starting with the starting pitching. Okay, that's where, it starts right there. And after Tanaka, it's like, it's question mark. Can CC Sabathia? Yeah, listen. All you want to hope for at this point is, a solid 4th, 5th starter. That's all you want to hope for. That's, to
you don't even know who those guys are. Right? You don't even know who those guys are now. Jeez.
Yeah. You need Michael Pineda to be more consistent. Although I read something recently, a very, very deep baseball analytical thing on, what can I call it? A little article, a little blog on pitching, and I was a little encouraged by what I read as far as Pineda, because this was the kind of how can I explain? This was the kind of thing where they analyze exit velocity of the balls that were hit off him, the angle of the ball when it went, like ground, line drive, fly ball, hard contact. I mean, where, things that make your head spin, but are interesting nonetheless. So I'm a little hopeful there. I tell you one guy on the Yankees who I like, a young pitcher, and he came over from Detroit when they traded Justin Wilson last year, and everybody was like, why are they trading Wilson? He's a really good lefty. He was really important to them. But they got Rui Sessa and Chad Green. Now, Chad Green is hurt. Hopefully he can come back healthy. I'm high on both of those guys, but I don't know how hurt Chad Green is. But I also like this kid, Rui Sessa.
He was
a little too home. Yeah, but I tell you what, and here's the thing. I mean, you go through his numbers. He didn't strike out a lot of guys, but he didn't walk a lot of guys. He didn't give up a lot of hits. I mean, actually, his whip was 1.11. But
that's very good.
What killed him? He gave up 16 home runs in 70 innings.
Wow, that's a lot.
So, yeah, that'll do it. I mean, I tell you what, here, I just pulled up his split because I was like looking at him the other day. I was actually scouting him. I'm like, for my upcoming stat replay league, and lefties hit 234 against him. Righties hit 245. On base percentage against him was under 300 from both sides, but lefties slugged 486 against him, and righties slugged 439. So yeah, that was the killer. But
yeah,
I like his stuff. I don't know what's going to happen with Luis Severino if
he's been
but
a
who knows?
disappointment. Yeah.
Well, but you know what? People forget he's only 22 years old.
Right.
So he'll be 23 next season, and the fact that he did well in the bullpen, and I've asked a lot of people, well, particularly like writers, I asked Kevin Kernan, Jerry Krasnick, and some others what they thought, if they thought that the way bullpens were used in the postseason, and how successful it was, like having guys who normally would go one inning go multiple innings. If you can't use them like that all year long, but I thought if that was a strategy that might become a norm again. Because don't forget, back in the day, closers went 2-3 innings. Fingers, Gossett, Suter, Ron, going back even further, Ron Peronowski and Dick Raditz and these guys. Yeah, I mean, they went multiple innings. So, but I wonder if Severino has a place there. But I think their bullpen is actually looking great. But even before they signed Chapman, I didn't think their bullpen was looking all that bad. I mean, Adam Warren pitched like the old Adam Warren again after they got him back from the Cubs. And, they have Betances. They have Clifford. So, that's three guys at the back end of the bullpen who aren't terrible. All of
those guys have been closers at one time or another. Clifford was a closer.
He was. Warren wasn't, but Warren was always solid for the Yankees. He didn't do well for the Cubs, but it's like he turned it, right around when he came back. I mean, the pitching's, I think the pitching's going to be very important, but they still listen. Everybody. I'm excited about Sanchez, but it's still it's after Sanchez, okay, and you don't know if he's going to repeat it. Tell me, who else do they have that really jumps out at you as a really strong offensive player?
Yeah, well, they have a gem, and
you hope Greg Bird can do what he did 2 years ago.
Well, but again, he's a question mark. He did play in the Arizona League, but they only let him DH there. I mean, Aaron Judge, listen, he's a monster, but he's still got to make contact.
Yeah, strikeout.
Gardner is just, Gardner's a good defensive guy, got some speed. He's not really a good base stealer, but he's got some speed.
Very strong up the middle, you guys. Yeah, Castro and
Gregorius.
But
you know what? They're okay up the middle. Castro wasn't the greatest defensive second baseman. He was okay. He's got, he has some pop, but he doesn't walk. Okay, and he does, he does strike out. Gregorius, Gregorius is a solid guy. Plays
he's
good
solid.
defense.
He's the best position player they have right now.
He
Holiday.
really is, I mean, come on, you can't get excited about Headley. First base is a question mark. I tell you what, for 2017, I'm probably higher on Tyler Austin than I am on Aaron Judge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Only because, like I say, he struck
makes more contact.
Yeah, but one thing about Judge, every time he did jump a level, he always struggled when he jumped a level. And I don't know if it was adjusting to the better pitching or he was swinging at everything trying to prove himself and he got himself out. I don't know what it was, but I hope that'll continue. But Clint Frazier is heads and tails, above.
How far away? How far away is
Aaron Judge? How far away is he? I think we can see him. I think we can see him mid-season.
Really?
I see no. Wow. Why would he? I mean, he did play AAA. He started in AA, but he played AAA last year.
Oh yeah.
I believe both for the Indians and the Yankees.
Yeah.
He struggled a little bit, but I mean, yeah, he's solid.
Yeah.
He is.
Signing Holiday was a good sign, huh? You think he's got big shoes to replace, to fill with Beltran being gone. Beltran's a Hall of Famer. I think all three of us have agreed upon that at one time or another. He's a future Hall of Famer.
Probably so.
I tell you what, yeah, and I'll say it like this: if if Jim Rice is a Hall of Famer, okay, Carlos Beltran is a first ballot.
Okay. Not
okay.
taking anything away from Beltran, though, he's had some big moments, postseason moments, and this, that, and the other thing, as well as leading teams to the postseason. He was. I missed him with the Mets. They traded him. Was it Zach Wheeler? Was that the trade for?
Yes, they got Zach Wheeler.
I know, and he's been hurt. And Mert, have you heard anything about? Is this guy going to come back ever?
Yeah, they're talking about putting him in the bullpen.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, get one of those guys, one of those starters to.
Yeah, but they have an overabundance of starters now if they're all healthy. So.
Right.
Yeah, they have been talking about putting Wheeler in the bullpen. So.
Very interesting. Because he had some gas early on. I don't know how much that. Sometimes this surgery, Tommy John, improves velocity, which is an amazing new age technique of putting people back together again. They come back faster.
I tell you, I don't know if it's the Tommy John itself. I think you'd have to really look at this, and I don't know if it's the surgery or if it just happens to be a perception, and it's really more about the Tommy John surgery being done to young pitchers. And it's only because they came back, but, and they were able to continue their development and add a mile an hour or two to their fastball.
Right.
So,
and it could be the rehab that they do that builds up the muscles around the injury so much that they rehab so well that they end up being faster too. That might have something to do with it. But
I don't know.
Who
knows? I mean, I guess, you know what, that we're going to have, we're scheduled to get Rick Peterson back on our show in the middle of January. So that's a question I'm going to have to ask him. And it's funny because a couple of weeks ago, Craig and I were, said, hey, did you notice that there seemed to have been a lot less Tommy John surgery, a lot less Tommy John injuries this year? And he goes, yeah, and I wasn't sure if it was fact or perception. And I looked it up, and there were 29 in 2015 and 15 in 2016. And when I was talking to Rick Peterson on the phone when he wasn't on the show, I asked him about that, and he goes, because everyone's had it already.
I was just going to say, yes. No one's left. That's beautiful. Are you happy with the prospects they got back for Beltran and Chapman?
Ecstatic.
Okay.
I mean, Beltran, Chapman, and Miller. Absolutely ecstatic.
Torres kid,
yeah, Torres and Frazier alone, and then and this kid Justice Sheffield, the lefty, and then of course, high risk, high reward with Dylan Tate. So, yes, and some of the was it the ones from. And there was one other prospect from Chicago. I mean, I tell you, I got to say, for Chapman, I mean, not only did they get Torres, but they got another guy. They got a major leaguer to go back in the bullpen, which was
Warren.
huge. Getting Warren, okay, that was huge, and I forgot which. There was one of the other prospects from the Cubs who, and it might have been McKinney, I'm not sure.
Billy McKinney is outfielder, 22
He might have been the one also, again, he's more fringy, but I think he's got a shot. So, I mean, how could you not like it?
There was a fourth guy also, I don't know who he was.
They did. They got a fourth guy, and I believe they got 4 guys for Miller too. So, and they got 2 guys for Beltran. But those were the guys that stuck out to me. But again, I just can't decide who I think is better, Torres or Frazier, as far as the prospect goes.
They got a couple of guys for Nova also earlier. One of them is a left-handed pitcher, Tarpley.
Yes.
He's a left-handed pitcher. So he's only 23.
I mean, the bottom line is their system is pretty well stacked, and but you know what else? Like the guy they drafted last year in the first round, was it Blake Rutherford? Is that his name?
Don't remember that.
Oh, I mean, he actually kind of dropped, he kind of dropped in the draft a little bit. I think his name is Blake Rutherford. Young kid. I mean, he was old for high school. He was like a 19-year-old high school senior. So
he's not even on the 40-man then.
Oh, no, not at all. Not at all. I think his name was, and don't forget, they still have, Mateo.
What about that Caprellian kid?
Oh, James Caprellian, exactly, the guy from UCLA.
Yeah.
He came out in the spring, he came out throwing like 5 miles an hour faster. Okay? And then he got hurt. He was hurt all year. But he came back and he pitched very well in the Arizona Fall League. Blake Rutherford, that was the guy. Okay? He was picked in the first round. Solid guy. As a matter of fact, I have a friend of mine. He's a friend on Facebook. His name is Joseph Quattaracci or something to that effect. He became my friend on Facebook. I saw him it's funny, people who you may know. And I thought it was my friend Joe Quattaracci on Staten Island. So I click on it and it says from Staten Island. I didn't read anymore. I says, oh, that must be Joe. And I clicked on it. But this guy lives in Arizona. He's also a Yankee fan, but his son is a high school senior. Might actually get drafted. His son already committed to a junior college out in Arizona, and he was very familiar with Blake Rutherford. And he said the Yankees grabbed the stud. He said this is going to be one of those where they're going to say, wow, how did this guy fall?
Wayne, I have two questions. First of all, how much does Ellsbury have left in the tank? Not just for you, Wayne. I want to ask Mert that too.
How much does he have? I don't know. I mean, excuse me. Since the Yankees got him, with the exception of one strong start last year, 2015, he's been playing on half a tank since they got him. Okay. And he'll probably be running on half a tank next year.
How long a contract does he have?
Oh God, I think it was like 7 years.
A terrible contract.
I mean, I believe it probably stuck with him for, wow. I'm guessing
at least
another 4 years. At least. Yeah. I mean, I think he signed like
they'll probably buy him out way before 4 years.
Well, I don't know if they'll buy him out. You know what?
Signed through 2020.
All right. Well, so you got 4 more seasons.
Signed for the rest of my life.
Yeah, there you go. Listen. But you know what? Here's the deal. Unless he starts really declines, they're not going to buy him out. At some point he may not be a starting outfielder. He may be a very expensive, fourth outfielder, but a lot will depend on what he could do.
Or a DH, that could happen too.
I don't know. He doesn't really have the pop for a DH. And once his speed declines,
he's 33 now.
Yeah, listen. Last year he hit 263, 330, 374. Not great. Right. I don't think that you never know. It's some point they.
What you're saying, Wayne, is that all GMs make mistakes every now and again, and you're about to give Sandy a little bit of break because he made the mistake of acquiring Bruce. Is that what you're going to say?
Oh yeah, listen. Listen. Him acquiring Bruce is nowhere near egregious as the Yankees signing Jacoby Ellsbury. And this is coming from someone who really liked Ellsbury as a player, as much as he, as much as it is, I should say, as badly as it hurt when he stole home on Andy Pettitte. Nonetheless, yeah. So
well, he was a good ball player with the Red Sox.
When he wasn't hurt.
One final question, and this is so subjective. There's not a right or wrong to this. Do you think Girardi is doing a good job, and are you happy he's the manager?
Well, I tell you, I think he's been. It's hard. It's hard to say, and I mean. Listen, he won it all in 2009, but they gave him the horses, okay? But I think he's had a very mismatched, chemically defective team for years, or just, under-talented. I mean, he just, so it's hard to say, but I think I'm about done with him. I was cutting him a little bit of slack toward the end of the year, but at this point now, I personally think it would be better if they moved on. And I don't think he'd have a problem getting a job, though.
Boy, there was one time when he first started managing the Yankees, and Piniella was managing, I think it was the Cubs. And Girardi had played for the Cubs, and of course Piniella was so big in New York. I thought it would be the perfect trade.
Piniella managed the Reds, not the Cubs.
Wasn't it the Cubs? No, he managed the Cubs for a while.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I am. And the reason I'm sure is that I put that scenario together in my head. It was about 4 or 5 years ago of Girardi coming, because he was on shaky ground at one time, and I just thought it would be the perfect deal. Never got done, of course, but
yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember, how long did he manage the Cubs? And why would I not even remember this?
I don't know.
Wow.
But he did manage the Cubs, unless I'm totally off.
No, you're right. There's a matter, because I'm pulling it up now. Like, talk about a brain slot. I mean, he even took them. He even took them.
Yeah, 07 to 10.
A couple of years. Yeah.
7, 8, 9, and 10. He managed the Cubs.
Yeah, but they would never trade managers.
Well, they did it with Frankie Lane. Did it once. He traded Joe Gordon. Was it Frank Lane that did that, or anyway? Joe Gordon was the manager. It was Cleveland, Detroit, or something like that. Speaking of brain farts, I don't remember, but I do know this. We had a great show. I thank you, Wayne. You really were informative as usual. And Mert, next week we'll do a little Metsy. And
well, listen, you forgot to ask me the third question. You forgot to ask me the follow-up question.
You're right. Did I ask you about? I asked you about Ellsbury. How much is left? And then I asked you about.
No, and then you asked me about. But there should have been there should be a follow-up question to the Girardi question.
Oh, well, then who would you like to see manage the Yankees?
There you go.
All right, I'm getting better. You got it. You remember.
Okay.
I'm an old guy.
I would like to see Willie Randolph.
Wow.
I thought Willie Randolph did a good job with the Mets.
You tell me what you thought, because you were right there, Mert, about Willie's job with the Mets. I liked him as a person. God, what a great guy.
Yeah. I
think he did a good job with the Mets.
Yeah, he was very popular, local guy. Can't go wrong. I mean, I thought he handled the team pretty well.
Yeah. My only beef with Willie Randolph is, what was it? Was it game 6 against the Cardinals? You know, when Beltran struck out looking against Wainwright, the Mets opened that inning for the 9th inning, man on first and second, nobody out. I wanted him to bunt. I wanted him to bunt, and I forget who was up, but I wanted him to bunt. But listen, you know, nonetheless, I thought Willie did a solid job for the Mets, and don't forget, I thought, you know, again, like I always, well, Marty, you don't know this, but I always say that Joe Torre was not a good manager, even with the Yankees. First, it was Don Zimmer, was his bench coach, and after Zimmer left, it was Willie Randolph. And then, as soon as they left, his bench coach was Don Mattingly. And guess what? Joe Torre wasn't as smart. Then he started getting credit for being a handler of people, being able to, you know, keep everybody happy. But all of a sudden he wasn't a manager, and of course
that's why it's so subjective in terms of there's so much more to it than just.
I'll say one thing about Willie Randolph. He managed the Mets for 3 years. All 3 were winning seasons. He came in first in 06. 07 wasn't it that big collapse? Was that 07?
Oh yeah.
So he was the manager then, and then the next year he was 34 and 35 when they let him go, 1 game under. But the 3 full years he was there, he had winning records all 3 years, first, second, and third. So
very interesting. Yeah. Good show, guys. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, you'll come back again, Wayne, sometime soon. And Mert, like I say, next week we'll talk a little Mets.
Okay. Good night.
All right, gentlemen.
Best to Peg.
Have a good night.
Best to your kids, Wayne,
Night.
Skyler, and Wayne, and Wyatt. Who, Marty, you gotta meet Wyatt. He's 11 years old, and he's the most precocious sports fan I've ever talked to at 11 years old.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Knowing his dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? And the thing is,
and it's
you
not
know,
just it's not just baseball.
Oh, he's big. He's big. Well, actually, Wyatt is doing fantasy football this year. His team's he was in second place, and then he pulled into first place last week. But his team did poorly yesterday. I think he's in second place. But when it comes to the WWE, he's into it like I'm into baseball. He knows past and present. He's good. But and just to let you know, there is actually a third child, although he's actually a grown man, Sam, and who is also a huge and extremely knowledgeable sports fan. And when it comes to basketball and football, he just blows me away. I mean, but that really has to do with enthusiasm more than anything else. But yeah, so there's a third. I should get him on one day. So
Absolutely.
Anyway,
he's living in Florida too, not in Jacksonville.
Yes, he's in Orlando. He's in Orlando. Right. And where I hope to be by the end of July.
Oh, good.
So I think I'll be about 2 hours away from you.
In Florida, how great it is to finally get out of New York with the winters.
Yeah, I hiked the nature trail today, 1.7 miles. It was nice.
Look at that. Where I'm moving to, I got a bike trail that goes right through my development. So, and that's my thing. So, and I think I'm going to be 2 hours from you?
2 hours to Orlando, yeah, from Jackson.
2 hours to Orlando. Look at that. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll be going in all directions. I got you in Jacksonville. I got friends in Tampa. I got my other buddy in Port St. Lucie, and on and on and on. So
he's the Heisman too, Larry Banks in Port St. Lucie.
Larry Banks. Yeah.
And,
there you go.
Did you know him, Mert?
No. Larry is younger than me. Larry's 4 or 5 years younger than me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Since I'm older than Mert, we'll just end this conversation now.
Gotcha. Wait a second. Wait, how much? Wait. But very quickly, how much older are you than Marty?
A few months. 5
Oh, just a few months. So it's the same year.
I think Mert was in April. Am I correct?
April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same year though. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
We're baby boomers.
All right. Yep.
There we go.
Guys.
All right.
Next
Gentlemen,
time,
have a good
everybody
night.
out there, keep on keeping on, and we'll see you next week. Thank you again. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.